Okay, guys, so this is starting off with number 10 on your quiz 3-1 corrections. So if you didn't miss 1 through 9, you can definitely be starting at this video and then skim through until you get to the problems that you need assistance with. So 10 is still focusing on those two-step equations. So U are C, and in this case, your date is that -7. So we have to get rid of the 16, who's our third wheel over here. 16 is positive. This subtraction sign has nothing to do with the 16. If there's nothing in front of it, we know it's positive. The opposite of positive is negative. So subtract 16 on each side. 16 minus 16 cancels out. So U and your date, -7C, come on down. -19 minus 16 gives me -35. Get rid of your date. That's multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is to divide by -7. -7C divided by -7 gives me C. -35 divided by -7, same sign, positive answer of 5. So you had one decimal answer on the front and you had two fraction answers on the front. Everything else was a nice integer, meaning it was positive or negative, but you didn't have a decimal or a fraction with that. All right, that's number 10. So I'm moving on to the back of the quiz now on number 11, which is another two-step equation. 24 equals 13 minus A. So in this case, you may be like, I don't know, Ms. Riggle, it kind of looks like a one-step equation. Maybe you put it in the wrong spot. Okay, let me show you why this is a two-step equation. Your A, that's you. Who is your date? It's not 13. They're too far away. They're not right beside you. You want to sit right beside your date. So A, what's in front of it? There's a subtraction sign, add a 1. So in this case, -1 is your date. 13 is your third wheel. 24 is home. So it's a positive 13, so you're going to subtract 13 on each side, and you're going to get 11 equals -1 times A. That'll help you understand what's going to be the second step is getting rid of your date, dropping them off by curfew. You need to divide by -1. -1A divided by -1 just gives you A. 11 divided by -1 is -11. All right, that is number 11 for you, and you actually get an answer of -11 for that. Pause if you need to copy anything down that I'm doing on the whiteboards. Don't feel like you have to rush to keep up. Number 12, M divided by 1.4 minus 11 equals -6. Two-step equation. M is you and your date is that 1.4. This is incorporating those rational equation skills with decimals into the two-step equations. -11 is your third wheel, so you're going to add 11 on both sides. Think 11 minus 6 is going to give me 5. So M divided by 1.4 comes down, and that's equal to 5. Opposite of dividing is to multiply by 1.4 on each side. Cancels out. M equals 5 times 1.4. Maybe you can't do that in your head. That's okay. That's why you guys are supposed to have a device on a calculator, because of the request in the school list, is going to give you an even 7. I should say not 7. It's not an even number, but I mean not a decimal or not a fraction. All right, that is number 12. 13 is another two-step equation. It has a fraction in it, so it's incorporating those skills of solving rational equations. In this case, the fraction of 1/4 is your date, your K. That +3 is your third wheel, and -5 is home. So third wheel, it's +3, so we need to subtract 3 on each side. 1/4 K equals -8. So multiply by the reciprocal, so times 4/1. Go ahead and put -8/1 if that's going to help you see how to multiply in a minute. 4's cancel, 1's cancel. K equals -8 times 4 is -32/1. K equals -32. If you leave it as -32/1, that's fine. That's not incorrect, but it's also the same thing as -32. All right, that's 13. Moving on to number 14. 27 equals -5/3r plus 17. Okay, so fraction is your date again. That -5/3 is your date, you are R. Your third wheel in this case is the positive 17, so you're going to subtract 17 on both sides of the equal sign. So 10 equals -5/3R. Well, if we need to get rid of your date, -5/3, instead of dividing by a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal, which means we flip it. So times, I'm just going to keep the negative with that 5 with the denominator now in this case. 3/-5. I'm going to put that 10/1. Whatever you do to one side, you've got to do to the other side in order to keep the equation equal or balanced. Those -5's cancel and those 3's cancel, just leaving you with R. 3 times 10 is 30. 5 times 1 is -5. 30 divided by -5, different signs, negative answer, R equals -6. All right, hang on in there. We got 6 more to go for those of you that need any of these corrections for the bottom portion. Number 15 is -17 equals x minus 8 divided by 2. So these ones tricked a few of you because of how they're written. This is the situation where you are the numerator. That denominator is your third wheel hanging out. This is where you have to get rid of the denominator before you're able to move anything around that's in the numerator. So if you're dividing by 2, the opposite of dividing is to multiply by 2, or 2/1, on both sides. 2 times -17 is -34. Those 2's cancel, leaving you with x minus 8. And now you have what hopefully looks like a really easy one-step equation left to solve. So you're going to add 8 on each side. -34 plus 8 is going to give you a -26 equals x. $16 looks the same way. So if you struggled with 15, I'm guessing we also struggled with 16. M plus 11 divided by -4 equals -5. They incorporated the signs in a different way for this one, and they just switched the order around. You are the numerator with your date, M plus 11. -4 is your third wheel, and -5 is home. So opposite of dividing is to multiply both sides by that -4, or -4/1. Those will cancel. So M plus 11 equals positive 20. Positive 20. So we're going to subtract 11 on each side. M equals a positive 9. All right, that is number 16. 17 through 20 start the square root problems. So those are the only problems on the paper. I should have seen the plus or minus in front of that answer to accommodate for both the positive and negative values. Number 17 was v squared equals 361. So this is just a one-step equation. I need you to get v by itself. So in this case, remember I said your exponent is that little birdie sitting on your shoulder that's got to go back in the cage. It's got to be put away before you leave. So opposite of squaring is to square root. So this is really all the work I would have seen. You putting the square root sign on each side. V squared, if you take the square root of that, cancels out, just leaving you with v. The square root of 361 is 19. And what you needed to remember to do is incorporate, well, it could be positive 19 or it could be negative 19. So if you didn't have that, it's minus a half because you only gave me half of an answer. All right, number 18 is a two-step equation with square roots. So in this case, you are R, 2 is the little birdie sitting on your shoulder, and let's say you're sitting in a chair and 7's the cat laying under the chair. Got to get rid of the cat before you can get the bird out, so you've opposite of dividing is to multiply by that. Those cancel. Negative 28 times 7. Actually, I think I wrote this wrong. It's a negative 7, so I need to be multiplying by negative 7's everywhere. All right, negative 28 times negative 7 gives me a positive 196. Have to unsquare it, which is the square root on each side. So this is my work. Cancels out. R equals plus or minus the square root of 14. You're going to get 14. You need to know to add that plus or minus. All right. 2 more left. We got 19 and 20. So number 19 is negative 2 times c squared plus 45 equals 27. Brick wall. Okay, so U or C, the little birdie sitting on your shoulder is 2. You can think of negative 2 as your date if you want, and 45 as the third wheel again. The only issue is you just added that you've got a little birdie sitting on your shoulder. All right, so minus 45, that's going to be like your third wheel. Cancels out to give you 0. Negative 2 times c squared equals negative 18. 27 minus 45, negative 18. Do not, the last thing you'll ever do is square root in a problem like this. Worry about getting rid of this negative 2 first. That's being multiplied. The opposite of that is division. C squared equals negative 18 divided by negative 2 is 9. The square root of both sides, C equals 3. Don't forget your plus or minus in front of your answer. Number 20. And this is the only one on the back that you ended up getting a fraction for. 25m squared minus 17 equals negative 1. Add 17 on each side, like your third wheel. So 25 times m squared, that's like your date, and then your little bird, pet bird. 17 minus 1 is 16. When you go to divide by 25, you're going to notice, I don't know what 16 divided by 25 is. And then let's say that I'm going to type it in and let you guys see it in the calculator. 16 divided by 25. I don't get a number that I really want to work with. 0.64. You can't take the square root of that for me. It's going to be really ugly. Leave it as a fraction and square root both sides. So the square root of m squared is just m, so I'm good there. What is the square root of 16? 4. Square root of 25 is 5. Don't forget your plus or minus in front of your answer. M equals plus or minus 4 over 5. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. So you just square root the numerator and denominator individually. All right. Let's see. I've got 3 minutes left. I'll go ahead and work out the bonus for you guys so you can see how that would have been. Might need to grab a second whiteboard. There was a reason this is the bonus. There's quite a bit of work to do with these fractions. And I'm just going to go as far as I can before the video cuts me off. All right, change your mixed number into an improper fraction. 15 times 1 is 15, plus 4 is 19 over 15. 2/3 is already good to go. And 30 times negative 12 is 360. 360 plus 7 is 367. So negative 367 over 30. Good to go. So I need to get a common denominator here of 30, it looks like. So I've got 15, 3, and 30. I really only need to worry about these because those are what I'm adding. So I'm going to have to subtract that 19 over 15 on each side. So negative 2 over 3x squared equals, well, this needs to become 30 here. So times 2 on the top and the bottom, 30 over 38, so minus 38. Negative 367 minus 38 is going to give me negative 405 over 30. Multiply by the reciprocal, so 3 over negative 2 on each side. Told you it was a tricky one. Negative 405 times negative 3. Actually, I guess I have mine with the denominator. Times positive 3. I'll say negative 1215 over negative 60. So that negative on the top and the bottom are going to cancel out. And then I'm going to have to reduce it before I can get the square root because I can't do the square root of those. So that's why reducing is so important. 15 will go into each of those. So I've got x squared equals 81 over 4. Not my final answer because it's still squared. No more negatives because it canceled out on the top and the bottom. Square root is 9 over 2 plus or minus. Running out of